Here I am. This is going to be a rant. This is not a step-by-step, bulletin point list of every specific thing. No, this is just based on my very short experience of working as a mechanic in 2024, or for technically 6 years. Technically 4, but I've been working on cars before that. I don't know if that doesn't really qualify. I guess what's funny about that is that nobody's a mechanic nowadays. Nobody actually gives a shit enough about a title or a position to where being a mechanic or a technician even matters. Nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. We kind of just wing it. So yeah, we're mechanics. Sure, why not? I guess we can start with just the work in general. Cars are so overly engineered nowadays. Now, mind you, a lot of cars aren't terrible to work on, like Toyotas or something like that. For every single oil cooler housing on a 3.6 Pentastar motor I have replaced, it's just like one of those things where I feel like the engineering is just fucking all over the place. Like, you get random brackets holding things on that don't do anything or don't mean anything, and they just get in the way, and bolts are hitting the firewall and the inner fender wells, and it's impossible to get certain things off. You can't fit tools in. Eventually you get it. I'm not just talking about the oil filter housing, by the way. I'm talking about it like just cars in general. Eventually you get it. They're just overly engineered right now, and it's to the point where they're becoming, I wouldn't say impossible to work on, but for the amount of money that we make and the amount of time that has to go in, like certain jobs, if it calls for like 8 hours, unless you're doing brakes and alignments all day, you're not going to be making any money. The biggest problem with stuff like this is these dealerships are making money not on the actual repairs of the car. They're making money on bullshit that doesn't actually matter. So, we're recommending coolant flushes and spark plugs and fuelies, and nobody does them right anyway, and nobody cares because it doesn't matter. People at dealerships right now are recommending coolant flushes, spark plugs, fuelies, and all this other crap and nonsense that cars don't need, because they're being recommended every single 5 seconds, because somebody's bound to say yes to pay up the money to keep the dealership going. People, if a caliper just seems barely stuck, it's, we got to replace it. Why not? Let's fuck the customer. Let's keep going. Let's sell alignments on cars that don't need them because they don't pull, but we have to do it with every single set of 4 tires we do. And it came back green. Nah, it's all right. Don't worry about it. The customer already paid for it. It's just a little laughable because the malpractice has become so normal that if you speak against it, it's like you're the asshole, which is 110% true. And speaking of assholes, everybody who works as a mechanic in 2024 is a fucking asshole. For some reason, people who are working in the automotive industry, and I know there are good ones, obviously, whoever is watching this video, if you're an asshole, fuck you. But if you're not, and you're just trying to fix cars and do your job, then that the people you work with are insufferable. They are the most annoying fucking people on the planet. Half of them are morons and just fucking talk all the time about, their position on, and their knowledge of the automotive field. Phenomenal. Here's a gold star. The other aspect of it is that you get a bunch of these younger kids nowadays. I'm 23, but I guess if you want to call it a younger kid in the automotive industry, I'm kind of one of them. You get kids that are my age nowadays that just want to come in and fucking know everything, and not in a like, well, no, I know what I'm doing, and I want to give it a try kind of way. It's like the entitlement sense of I've done this a million times, and fuck you for telling me what to do otherwise. A lot of it is because the people who are telling these younger kids what to do are just pieces of shit. And it is a mix of like management. It's a mix of the kids nowadays have this sense of entitlement to where they know everything. And we don't have a workforce right now. Like I haven't seen a lack of mechanics. I've just seen the turnover rates continue to go up. Like for every one person that comes in, 20 people leave. And a lot of it has to do with, I think, poor management. Or it could just be that kids are fucking stupid nowadays, or it can just be that the people you work with are douchebags. It probably has a lot to do with everything. I feel like being a car mechanic nowadays isn't worth it. Like, do you get paid more money when you're on flat rate? Probably. But if you don't make your hours, I mean, the pay is abysmal anyway. You're only making so much more than the average. It's not like you're making $100,000 a year. I think mechanics nowadays need to be getting paid like at least $35 an hour, personally. But no one's making over 25, at least in this side of the world. So yeah, I mean, and if you are making over that, then you have to suck somebody's dick to get it, because they don't give that out easy to the mass majority of them. Yeah, I mean, cars are getting overly complicated. The people that you work with are insufferable. The whole atmosphere about working around cars is, you can't just do your job. Customers aren't the smartest either. They come in thinking that they know exactly what's going on, which is fine because they're just customers. They have no idea what the fuck's going on. A lot of them, some of them do. And they feel like they want to get their money's worth. Problem is, when they get their money's worth, they're not when they think they are. They think they're getting all this work done to have their car be perfect. But 1,000 miles later, when something breaks that we told them we recommend, just because we did an alignment and it costed $1,000 for 4 tires and alignment and a front brake job, they think their car is perfect for the next million years. But unfortunately, we told them that was the bare minimum of what we needed to do for their car to be passable for some type of state inspection. But the state inspection laws only call for 1 millimeter worth of brake pad wear in order to pass. And you said you didn't want to do that work, and 1,000 to 2,000 miles later, your rear brakes are now metal to metal. Now you got to spend an extra $500, $700 on brakes, and now you're screwed because the piston shot out. And the problem is it's hard for these customers to trust mechanic shops to get the work done. 1, because it's super expensive. 2, because they are shady as fuck. They're going to sell you things you don't need, and the customer doesn't know what it is they need and don't need. If people had a little bit more automotive knowledge under their belt, I think it would be better, and I think a lot more dealerships would be shutting down. The problem with the dealerships right now, and just automotive places in general, is that there's this over-dilution of cheating and malpractice, which essentially made it so that they're competing to be the biggest cheater, essentially, because they're selling all these things to people that they don't need, but that's become the new bare minimum. If we just did work to cars that they needed, I feel like the companies, all these automotive industries, they would probably go out of business. How does a Toyota dealership survive? I'm going to be honest. I work at one. And the reality is they don't. They make all their money off of nonsense that people don't actually need, but since flat rate techs need to sell jobs in order for them to make money, we're in this pool of cheating and malpractice that doesn't actually help anybody other than make the company money and try to make the technician money, which I guess is the point. But I think flat rate should be completely taken, just get rid of it, because it incentivizes cheating. Anything incentivizes cheating, but I think flat rate does it more, because the more you cheat, the more money you can make. I think if everyone was hourly, it would be better, because I think it would be able to give us an opportunity to be more patient to do the jobs properly. But that's not how it works. These automotive places want to run their automotive shop like McDonald's. They just want to crank hamburgers and cars out the door as fast as possible, and unfortunately that's not how that works. Right now it is how it works, and we've been playing this teeter-tottering game of, our car's gonna, Either this is going to be the best 5 miles this car has ever driven, or it's going to go for 100,000 miles without a problem, because we just got to get the job done as fast as possible because we're going to make money, 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 money. This trickles down into a lot of other industries. The automotive is mine, so that's the one I'm talking about, obviously. But that's kind of the problem nowadays, is we're all cheating to the top, and the dilution of the market is becoming so much we can't keep up, because now, since nobody can afford to buy anything anymore, having the average coolant flush and spark plug change every 10,000 miles for some reason isn't going to pay the bills, because nobody has the money to do it anymore. We're sucking people dry. Why is a four-wheel brake job $1,000? Sorry, on some cars, $2,000 or more dollars. On an average car, like a shit car, $1,000. We're not doing, all these dealerships are not doing jack squat to save the customer money. It's all about how much money can we make. No, we're not. I get that in order for the company to continue to go, you need to make money. And it's not any individual dealership, it's all of them, or just automotive place in general. They've all cheated so much, like I said before, that has become the new normal. I have a pizza in the oven, one sec. They've all cheated so much that that's become the new normal. The problem with that is, like I said, what's the solution? Unfortunately, there is no lack of demand for people's cars to get fixed. The only problem is that if you want to fix a car properly, it's slow, it takes time, and you want it to be cost effective for the customer. The turnover rates for mechanics are super high. There is a need for good mechanics, not just mechanics. There's a need for good ones. A lot of dealerships, a lot of companies would have to get fired. I feel like more scattered and mom and pop shops would be necessary in local areas, because if you just shut down a lot of dealerships, then people wouldn't have nowhere to go, and certain dealerships would have their doors flooded with people because they might actually need work done to their car. But if you want to balance out the tide, I feel like the wealth has to be spread, and these dealerships can't be making as much money as they are as cheating. I feel like you need to spread the wealth out a little bit, have some more mom and pop shops around, good ones, because they can also be very shitty and scummy too. Have good technicians, and it probably has something to do with the world too, that the way the prices are and the way the cost of everything is to run certain places. But there is a science to it if it can be done properly. The only problem is the only science that these dealerships know is making money. Like I said, I get they need to make money, but there is a better way of doing it while also giving quality service. There's a complete lack of communication between technician and upfront salesperson and customer. It's like a game of telephone. Nothing ever happens, and the technician always ends up getting fucked, to where they just say, oh, get the job done as fast as possible. We don't care what happens. No problem. I'm flat rate. We do that, and guess what? The customer came back, which also just causes more problems, and then it stresses out the service advisor. Then it gets taken to the manager, and then it becomes an even bigger game of telephone, and all for some reason. All for the reason of greed and impatience. A lot of it has to do with the customer for being impatient. Oh, I needed my car yesterday. Well, that's great, because you know what? No offense, customer. You can wait. If the work needs to get done, I suggest you wait, because you know what? We didn't have to take your car in at the end of the day. The greed will take the car in and do the job, but usually jobs that take super long like that don't actually make the company money, so it's not like a lot of mechanic shops turn away certain jobs because it doesn't make them money. But a lot of customers are impatient. The dealerships and just automotive places in general are really impatient. But the real question is it worth being in the automotive industry right now? No, it's not. In my opinion, let it crash completely, and then nobody will know how to fix their cars, and it'll create a need for small businesses to come back again and pretty much shut these bullshit mechanic shops down. And yeah, that's really it. See ya.